Good job. Okay. My name is Cain Vincent Dyer, and I've robbed over 100 banks. I would take this mascara, and I would draw a complete beard. And I also get a backpack. This is what all the money goes inside of. You put it on this way. And it was just time to do it. It's got to be done. Walking up to that door, there was just such a rush. I've always had this commitment to be the best. Bank robbery just happened to be no exception. Growing up in Oakland, it was just my mom and my little brother and I. We struggled, you know, we were poor. My mom's a single mom. My father jumped out of the picture right after my conception. He was involved in small-time crime and he was doing drugs and, you know, he ended up becoming a heroin addict. I didn't know him for pretty much the whole beginning of my life. There was a little, well, maybe there was a big part of me that had this resentment that why wasn't I good enough, you know? Putting on the uniform, there's a certain pride that comes with that, man. The Marine Corps let you know you could protect the people you loved. It was great through all my training, teaching me the ways of the warrior. Got nicknamed Die Hard, being a hard charger. Knife fighting, firearms, surveillance stuff, evasion, survival tactics. Everything is, you know, aggression. Trained me in everything, basically. I left the military because it was always a goal to start my own family, to make a better family than I felt my biological father had made. I wanted to be completely available for them. I met Laura when I was 14. She was my first love, and she's an amazing, amazing, amazing person. We got married around 19 or 20. We had our first child. We've got 3 girls. I was doing a lot of security work. Personal protection, bodyguard, security firms, stuff like that. One of my relatives, he was staying with me at the time. He was driving these trucks from the border just to earn money with what he thought was a simple transportation of, you know, stolen computers and maybe marijuana or something. I remember it was on Tuesday. I had some people showing up at my door. They were looking for my relative. I'm like, this is bullshit. It wasn't stolen computers and marijuana, you know? It was cocaine. They wanted him, or they wanted what they felt he lost. He owed them $180,000. And someone needed to pay it, and pay it soon. He says, listen, man, you got a really nice, beautiful wife and 3 little kids, man. You need to think for them. And I said, did you just threaten my wife and kids? And at that moment, there was this gut-sinking feeling, you know? It's like that roller coaster just drop. You can feel the pit of your stomach. You know, I've been raised to be the protector. And in that moment, I let them know that I would take the debt. I was supposed to pay them $15,000 on a Thursday of each week. At that time, I had never probably seen $2,000 in cash in my whole life, at one time. And I remember saying, how do you expect me to get this money to you? Can't get water from a rock. He goes, you Mr. Soldier Boy, go rob a bank. And I said, rob a bank? That's a federal crime. I mean, he said, listen, you asked me how you could get money. I told you how I know. You got a better way? Go get it. But you just need to get it. Go to bed. Couldn't sleep. I decided to go for a drive. And I started seeing banks that I had never seen before. It's like every single bank had a neon sign. It said, solution, 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 solution. And I said to myself, I'm gonna rob a bank. This is where it all began. Calabasas Parkway. There were these two banks, the Washington Mutual on the left, which is Chase now, and the Wells Fargo on the right. I began watching them, and what I learned was the Washington Mutual, which is Chase now, actually had a security guard. Seeing security at a bank kind of made me feel like, well, obviously they've got more money. So I went to the store to get some items I felt I would need. Crazy glue on the fingertips. I would take this mascara and I would draw a complete beard. And I also get a backpack. This is what all the money goes inside of. I decided to take a replica firearm. And for a guy who knows weapons, it's got the look, it's got the weight. From the distance coming in, it would seem to be an actual firearm. And it was just time to do it, man. It was time to get it done. Got my baseball cap. There was just such a rush walking up to that door. Fear. Heart's pumping, adrenaline's kicking.
All right, everyone, this is a fucking robbery. No.
I would immediately yell, this is a bank robbery, I'm here for the bank's money. Just look at the floor, don't look at me. And then I'd yell back at the door,
Hey, Joe.
anybody try and go out, do them. But there was no Joe. It was a made-up person. I would make someone believe that someone else was in there with me.
Just give me the fucking money. Come on. Come on. Put it in the bag.
I never would tell people to get on the floor or to raise their hands because I knew if I was walking up to a bank and I was able to see in and everybody's standing there with their hands in the air or laying on the floor, I'm turning around and calling the cops, right?
Put the fucking money in the bag.
And back off, glasses off, hats off. I turn on the music, have both windows down, because nobody's looking for a guy with both windows down, kind of rocking out, you know? What I'm gonna start doing immediately is taking the money and start going through it. What I'm doing is I'm filling for tracers. No pack in it, throwing on the floor. He's like, wow, I was coming that much closer to paying this debt off. On that first take, I walked away with about $33,000.
The pager went off, notifying us of a 211, which is a code for robbery. So there was a significant loss with this robbery, larger than we normally see. It's very unique to have a takeover-style robbery. It's very rare for one person to do that. He was able to go through and get multiple tellers to comply with his demands. He ordered each one of them to put money from their drawer onto the counter. He brandished a handgun. To find out who did it would be very challenging. But any case I had, I was determined. It's a calling. The chase was on.
I'd watch the volume of people that went in and out. The higher the volume, the better the payday.
I hoped he robbed again, for me to find a piece of evidence that would help me find him.
Boom, boom! Put the fucking money in the bag!
I needed to get into the race, and I didn't even have a way to get into the race until he made a mistake.
Okay, everybody, this is a fucking robbery!
I remember after robbing my first bank, taking the gang the money. The deal was I paid $15,000 every week. I had doubled that. I meet up with this guy, and he was like, whoa, soldier boy. You know, you got another payment coming up in a couple days. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I just gave you all this over here. That should have bought me 2 weeks, you know? He's like, no, man. Check it out. This is how this works. Every week, you pay us. I stepped up the whole game. Sometimes once every couple weeks, sometimes 2 or 3 a week.
Okay, everybody, this is a fucking robbery! Put the money in the bag! Turn around!
It was a mixed bag of emotions. But I've always had this adrenaline streak, man, this adrenaline junkie. And since leaving the military, I didn't realize how much I had missed that rush.
He was very, very aggressive, very commanding. Because of his approach, his verbal attack on these people, they were very quick to comply. The biggest thing we noticed was the backpack that he wore on his chest. It was why we call him the Kangaroo Bandit, because of the pouch.
Making that final payment, I meet up with this guy. I take him the money. And he was like, whoa. Looks like you used your head, you know? And that had taken me about 6 or 7 banks to pay off my relative's debt, $180,000. Yeah. It was worth it. Saving the life of someone you love. I remember telling my relative, this one was on me. And he was very grateful. He was very, very grateful for that. And I told him, if he ever got in trouble again, I'd probably kill him myself. So once I had made that final payment, there are things that I knew I wanted to do. I've been planning to find another job, maybe even go into law enforcement, you know, military guy. I had a lot of goals and a lot of dreams. I remember growing up wanting to be the mayor. But after doing all these bank robberies, there was this moment that I realized I can never go back to the life that was in front of me. I took on the mindset, if I'm gonna be a criminal and the life that I had planned or wanted is no longer in my grasp, and I'm gonna turn to this over here, I'm gonna be the best at it. I'm gonna be good at it. I'm gonna be more than good. I'm gonna do it better than anyone's done it. I knew I had a certain skill set, tactical, operational stuff. I decided to turn it into a job. I remember me wanting to make $1 million and then realizing how easy this was. And then that went to 3 million. And then the final was like, okay, 5 million. 5 million is what I'm gonna get. It was crazy. It turned into greed, opened up Pandora's box. I decided to do all the homework, finding banks that were easily accessible and that had multiple routes out. I often looked for banks that were next to merchants because to me, those banks would probably have more monies in them. I'd get there before the bank opened. So I'd watch the person putting in the key. Tells me that's more likely the manager. I'd watch inside the bank and I'd watch who tellers, if they were having an issue, who they would walk up to and talk to. I'd watch the volume of people that went in and out. The higher the volume, the better I figured the payday would be.
Everybody, stay where you are! Hands by your side!
I needed to get into the race, and I didn't even have a way to get into the race until we had a piece of evidence. With a partial disguise, it was difficult to get an identification. There was a variety of descriptions of the ethnicity of this bandit. Everything from a white male to black male to Hispanic. Some people said Middle Eastern. Until he made a mistake, you know, it was his advantage.
During this time, I was a bad boy. My wife and I, you know, we had been going through some issues. I'd started leading, you know, that typical LA, Hollywood nightlife lifestyle. And there were fidelity issues on my part. I wasn't a stand-up guy in that relationship. We were breaking up, making up, trying to make it work, trying to salvage our marriage, you know, that had started falling apart. With my girls, I was trying to be that dad that I didn't have when I was their age. So I would just give my daughters and their mom money. The money created more lies. I had to tell bigger lies about the money and where it came from. But robbing a bank became an addiction. I would do one teller and then go into a bank vault.
We were left with the hope that somehow we would get a tip from somebody.
Do me a favor. I want you to kill yourself tonight. So I was casing this bank, and there was this hair salon next to where I was, and this guy wanders out. He starts talking to me. You try to do the whole not approachable thing, kind of head down, doing something else. And I realized, wow, he's not just trying to talk to me, he's actually hitting on me. And at first, I tried to, oh, you know what? I'm actually straight. Yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. I know my people. Yeah. And he gives me this card. I was like, oh, I didn't think a lot about it. I was just about done doing my stakeout anyway, and I had seen mostly what I needed to see. So I was like, I'll come back tomorrow and do this bank.
Okay, everybody, this is a fucking robbery. No, 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 no.
This is a really, really tough bank.
Get up! Get off the floor, hands down! Don't look at me!
I didn't leave any room for error there.
Come on, move, move! Put the fucking money in my bag!
I was downtown, got a page about the robbery.
As I was leaving, I saw a cop positioning his car to block off that road.
Witnesses had observed the bandit run across the street into this apartment building. This whole area was shut down and controlled by law enforcement officers, and the guy was barricaded.
Getting home, and as soon as I turned on the television, it was the news report that they felt they had me locked down.
Once we observed the suspect fleeing, we searched the entire perimeter. The dog did alert a couple of times where the suspect had been.
I remember thinking to myself, I'm really glad they got the wrong set of houses.
We did not find him.
There was a celebratory dance done for this.
We had images of the kangaroo bandit in this robbery at Wells Fargo. Those images were from a video on a VHS tape, and we just froze the frame, but we had no idea who he was. And what's forgotten in that whole process is the victims. And everybody says it's a victimless crime. Well, he was very aggressive. He used vulgarity and profanity.
Do you know what fucking normal is, huh? Do you know what normal is?
Terrorized witnesses, and I know for a fact that there's tellers that were unable to ever go back to work at a bank because of what happened to them.
At that point, I was feeling invincible, knowing that I could be successful at it each time and not even come close to being caught. So that does give you a sense of, you know, let's keep going. That's when I started doing it another way.
Hey!
I stopped doing tellers for a while. I would do one teller and then go into a bank vault.
Move, move, move.
And I would take the wrap money that's still often in cellophane. And when you hit that cellophane, you may have a stack like that that's 10,000 and it's in a stack like that. You're walking out with a few $100 grand. And I tell you what, when I had made all that money, I started to hear from my father. Everyone's been telling me my whole life that the reason this guy wasn't around me or didn't have anything to do with me was because of heroin, because he was a heroin addict. And then one day I said, hey, I'll meet him now. I'll meet him now. I took this journey to go pick him up. We get to my house, and as we pull up, he's like, oh my God, this is beautiful, man. And I'm so proud of you, son. And every time you say son, it's like, you know. I take him in the house. I could tell the lack of heroin in his body is starting to take its toll. Man, I just don't feel good, man. Can you get me something? I was like, oh, I got what you need. I got something for you. I go in the other room. I've got this tray. And on the tray is half a kilo of heroin, 2 hypodermic needles. Oh, shoot up the kid. What are you doing with that, man? What are you doing with that? You're not supposed to have that, man. I said, oh, okay, I'll take it back. Oh, wait, hold on, he says. Son. And in that moment, I said, listen, don't you ever in your life call me your son. You are not my father. You've never been my father, you'll never be my father. You see this heroin? That's a half a kilo. It's a half a kilo of heroin. Do me a favor. I want you to kill yourself with it tonight. For some reason, you don't kill yourself with it tonight, take this shit and take this and point it at the money. Because this is what you're here for, man. This is what you're here for. Now he's just sitting there crying, man. I'm like, this is what you're here for. Fuck yourself. And I went to bed, hoping when I woke up he'd be dead. And when I woke up, instead he was up, awake. I'm like, wow, you survived the night, huh? Don't say anything to me. I'll have a car take you home in a minute. Car will be here, pack your shit. Take that with you. And it was the saddest scene I've ever seen on a man. Just completely broken. Only thing is, I don't know who was more broken. What I did know is he had the same void in him that I had in me in that moment.
We got a break. An informant said that he knew the identity of the Kangaroo Bandit.
I didn't even realize at first, but I'm crying. And she says, you need to stop this. You've got good stuff to do.
I said, we need our warrant now.
I was already close enough where I wanted to be at that $5 million goal that I had set for myself. I used that as the justification to just keep going. I'd already done like over 30 bank robberies in LA. So I go up north, and this bank, man, I'm coming out of the vault, and right in front of that door that I need to get past is this little lady. She's just standing there, looks kind of like she's frozen. And she says, I know you're not gonna hurt me. You need to stop this. You've got good stuff to do, but it's not gonna happen if you keep this up. And in that moment, I looked at her. I forgot about time. I forgot I was a bank robber. I definitely forgot I need to get the hell out of there. And I just stood there for a second looking at her. And she says, make me a promise. Promise me you're gonna stop this. I thought about that lady and what she said to me for a while. Making that type of money wasn't working. Money can't fix character, you know? And at that time, my character had sank. My integrity sank. All the guilt and shame was kind of haunting me, kind of plaguing me, and I was wrestling with the demons of that, man. That hole was bigger than ever. That void was deeper than ever. That darkness was darker than ever. And this buddy of mine, he's like, I want to take you to this place. And as we're pulling up, I was like, man, this better not be no church, man. He's like, no, man, just be cool. And I go in and I sit down. And then this guy gets on stage. And he starts talking.
You are selling yourself short. Your attitude determines your character determines
And
your
he says,
destiny.
are you not living your true purpose? Are you stuck in a life that's not yours?
It keeps looking like you're going backwards, but you're creating the radical mystical tension that shoots things forward.
I didn't even realize at first, but I'm crying.
So you might as well wake up and say, I'm hardwired for bliss, baby.
It was just hitting me, it was piercing me.
You want to be prepared for love? Start loving.
Everything he said just resonated. I started seeing that in the mask of me, of the military, of me being this tough young teen and this cool fighter or this bank robber. All those were masks that I put on. That's all I wanted to do, is to take off that mask that I had been wearing, man. Service was over, and when I met that guy, his name was Michael Bernard Beckwith. He's the founder of Agape. And I was like, man, I'll pay you, man. I'll give you $1 million, man, to teach me what you know. He's like, well, man, listen, you keep your money, man. You just keep coming back.
Cain came and realized that there was a level of the depth of joy and happiness that he wasn't even in tune with. He didn't want to live the rest of his life without that sense of joy and authenticity.
And I knew that meant taking accountability for everything I had done.
So after months of trying to find a tip, a lead, anything to head us in the right direction, we got a break. I received a call from an investigator in their narcotics unit, and they had developed an informant, and that informant came to them and said that he knew the identity of the Kangaroo Bandit and identified him as Cain Dyer. With that information, I went and obtained California DMV photos of Mr. Dyer. And when I saw that DMV photo of him, I felt pretty confident that we had the right individual. We had enough now to proceed with at least a search warrant. I'm really big on trying to get corroborating evidence. And that night, with the help of my brothers on the SWAT team, we introduced ourselves to Mr. Cain.
I didn't have a clue at that time that they were close to me. I was angry.
We're looking for the gun and anything that tied him to any of the robberies.
And then my eyes land on this thing. I was like, holy fuck. I heard my front door get kicked in, kaboom! This is the FBI.
Walked in, and he's kind of what I expected. I had a feeling he was going to have this charismatic personality, and he did. He didn't let me down.
The Emmer only had on like panty and bra, and I was angry. I'm an alpha. You know, all of a sudden you're trying to make me roll over. I'm like, why are you guys in my house? And they're like, we're doing a search warrant. And I'm like, search warrant? He tells me, hey man, sorry, but they were looking for these objects and it was this list, right? So he hands it to me and I'm going over everything down the list.
We're looking for all these things we saw in the different bank robbery photos. Hats, backpack, the gun, sunglasses, and anything that tied him to any of the robberies.
This from this bank, that from that bank. I'm like, nope, nope, nope.
We're looking for the business card that was provided by one of the witnesses over by Wells Fargo.
And then my eyes land on this thing. And I was like, holy fuck. I got that piece of paper with that dude's name in my pocket, in my jean pocket, because I was thinking that's the only person that could really say he had a conversation with me outside of the bank. I knew he was someone that actually could do face-to-face. It was like, man, I gotta get that paper. And I was like, we're freezing. There's a pair of jeans right by my bed. I'm like really, really cold. They bring me the jeans. And he goes to hand it to me. He goes, hold on, just let me check them. He shook them, there was nothing. He squeezed, and he didn't feel any object in them, and he handed them to me. I put the pants on right there, put it in my pocket, did it like this, and kind of pulled out the paper, kind of like I have this in my hand. Listen, man, it was the best tasting piece of paper I have ever eaten in my whole life. That paper tasted like $1 million right there.
We came up empty-handed. We didn't find anything that tied him to any of the robberies. I said, boss, I just don't feel like we have enough to take this to get prosecuted. I think we gotta figure out a way to get him to cooperate. So I talked to Cain, man to man, for at least 2 hours, just to get him to trust me, to get him to understand that maybe I understood why he went down this path. He was a father, I was a father, and I do believe that he got off track, and I do believe that he wanted to be a good father.
He started talking about my family. He knew that was a trigger. His training was good, yeah.
Inside of him, I felt this turmoil, his unwillingness to confess because he knew what that meant, but his desire to face this and be a symbol for his children. So we get through the interview, and I feel like he's this close, but he didn't confess.
I was still angry. I said, screw you, man, just, wanting to walk away. I didn't think I deserved to be in prison for life.
At that point, we still didn't have an arrest warrant for him. I kick myself to this day.
I said, I want to spend time with my family. I'm gonna go off the grid. I got away, I wasn't in his reach anymore.
Cain wanted to know that I would be there to walk with him the rest of the way.
I've done over 100 banks. I need to deal with this head on now.
The gun carried a 25-year sentence.
I wanted my family there. I wanted to say bye.
It was one of the most unbelievable moments of my career.
I went and stayed in Arizona for a few days and just cleared myself up. Patrick would call me daily. One night I talked to him for almost 2 hours, I think.
Cain wanted to know that if he came forward, if he did confess, that I would be there to walk with him the rest of the way. I mean, I'm getting calls at 3 in the morning. And the very last night, he called me and he said, look, Patrick, I'm gonna turn myself in tomorrow. Late in the afternoon, he comes rolling in this Jeep as a passenger. He gets out of the Jeep. It's a big smile on his face.
I wanted my family there. I wanted to say bye. Laura was like, hey, don't worry. I'll make sure the kids are there weekly to see you.
He walks up and he comes to me and gives me a hug. And he's got his family there, and I'm the person arresting him. It was one of the most unbelievable moments of my career. We took him into custody and went and booked him in and took him down to jail.
I've done over 100 banks. But they gave me this deal to take responsibility for all the banks I did in the Los Angeles district. And in that district, I did 30 banks, and out of those 30, they held me financially responsible to pay back restitution for 19. And in turn, they wouldn't prosecute me for banks that they found outside of the district.
We were never able to prove that he had a real gun, which carries a pretty substantial sentence. He claimed it was a BB gun. We never found the weapon, which would have carried a 25-year sentence. So based on the robberies that he did, the sentencing window was 7 to 10 years.
It wasn't until years later, man. I've been in prison now for 4 years. I get this letter. It was a letter from him, my father. Basically said, last time we saw each other, you said that I only wanted certain things from you. I have to tell you something. You were right. But now, you don't have anything, you don't have anything I want in jail. He says, you're in jail, and I'm here. You have nothing I want. I don't want money from you. I don't need drugs from you. I just want to get to know you and be here for you for once in my life and for once in your life. I was like, what the you know? Wow, you know. Then I called him back up and said, okay, man, we can have a relationship. And in that moment, I forgave him. My father gave me the beautiful gift of learning forgiveness. And we started working on building a friendship.
The one thing that was a little difficult for me was the victims and the wave of damage that he did to people. You know, that's the part that's not reconciled. And I just told him, I said, look, Cain, when you're done with this, I'll look you up and I'll have a beer with you.
It was a long time coming.
Well earned, I think. Is the better way to put it.
Do you remember when you guys showed up to do that search warrant?
With 20 of my friends.
Yeah. You showed up at my house with 28 of your friends to crash my party.
That's right.
Crash my party, man.
Yeah, I'm going to bring out the 2x4 right now. And the reality is, there are tellers in this case, in other cases I've worked, that they can't go back to work ever again.
100%.
2 to 3 at least employees per robbery, plus any witnesses or customers in the bank.
Yeah.
So you're pushing 100 people that you probably affected.
I'm genuinely and sincerely sorry.
At least now you acknowledge it, and that's a huge thing for me.
Yeah.